Shion, Shidane Lan E, Allegheny Ugonwiyuhi, Shudali Dagaye, Shatan, Tankutan, Ani-Tlvni Kula, Ani-Tlvni Cherokee Uto San, Chiwonia, Cherokee, Nanehiya, Idalena. But yeah, man, man, I'm back at it, man. You know what I'm talking about, man? Adadai, man. I'm here to build on this Powhatan bloodline today. And this is now what I'm gonna speak on today. I found this long ago. Like I got I got fiery arrows, an alternative for what they say, smoking gun. I got fiery arrows, man. I'm talking about, man, waiting, toxic, dipped in some. You know what I'm talking about? Poisonous. One shot, you're done, man. One and done. But yeah, man, I was sitting on this for a minute. And it's dealing with the Powhatan bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Tied into guess who? You know what I'm talking about? Cherokee. Yeah. And it's not spoken about, because generally, when we speak of the Powhatans, we tend to look at them as Algonquin people and separate from a lot of other tribes. But speaking on Powhatan or Chief Powhatan or Wahan or Wahan, he was a patriarch leader, right, among the Powhatan Confederacy, right? And even when you say confederacy, that's a result of tribes being broken up as a result of war or colonization. But, we're just dealing with an alliance of many tribes. But yeah, notice I said patriarch leader. That might trigger a lot of people, right? Because we know here on what people know as America, or some call Turtle Island, they know that tribes here were matrilineal, meaning the line was through the mother, and we were matrilocal, right? And but also what's interesting is that even though, yes, we were that, we still honored the chiefs. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't have tribes named after men in honor of them, like the Powhatans, right? Same with the Choctaws, right? And Chickasaw, who were what? Brothers. Those are men, right? And I know from my people in our Cherokee tribe, we descend from a male chief, right? Chike-san. Or really you would say, Kohiki Chike-san, Ugonwiyuhi, Galikoki, Tekaye Satan. Chief Seven Fingers. That's what I call him, Tennessee Ball. I'll make a whole nother video on that. But, the main point is Chief Powhatan, he was a patriarch leader. This is what's documented. And he amalgamated a lot of tribes together. A lot of generally they say there's 6 principal tribes. There was a lot of tribes, but you had the Arohatek, Apamatuk, Pamunkey, Mataponi, Chicskasaw, Rappahannock, or excuse me, I might be saying that wrong. Rappahannocks, Wayanoak, Paspahe, Waraskoyak, Nan Simone, and Chickahominy, and so there's many other, tribes. I'm just naming a couple that's just, off my head, and, excuse me if I butchered any. But yeah, so this confederacy had up to 15,000 people, right? Allegedly. I know there was more, but this is just generally on record. Now, a lot of people, we know, right, just from the records and the documented evidence that, these were so-called black people, right? So-called, right? But they were of the same, excuse my lack of scientific terminology, race, right? They were the same Negro race as with the misnomered African Americans today, right? And it's a lot of memes being shared online about Seneca, and how he had a tribe over 9,000 members, and they often cite from John Smith in 1619, the English explorer, and and they all, and again, in these memes it says, I mean, not just memes, but also in books, but he's described as a Powhatan, and he's described more like a devil than a man, with some 200 more as black as himself, right? So, a lot, and a lot of historians, revisionists, and those who might enter in some information on Stinkypedia, when I see misinformation or some shaky information on Wikipedia, I call it Stinkypedia, where they'll say, some claim that by 1700 the colonies had about 6,000 black slaves and 1/12 of the population, and it was common for black slaves and joining the surrounding Powhatan. So that's their way of saying the only reason why the Powhatans look black or or described as black was because of slaves, right? But then there's a contradiction with the times. There's an anachronism going on. And so again, and that's a big thing in the indigenous community. They're battling with other natives where, where natives like to say that we're only Indians because we were slaves and we were taken in, which is definitely not true. Because from, now mind you guys, I'm the pre-colonial genealogist, and that's an instrumental part that I'm going to build on this, because, the Algonquin people, right? This is, I don't even know if I want to get in on this. The Algonquin, first of all, that's just a linguistic term used to describe many tribes, right? But I know that a large portion of what people known as Algonquin, they're gonna get me for this one, they're not originally Negro tribes. Yeah. The ones that came from way up north, the Algonquin speaking ones, not saying we didn't have Negro people that lived in the upper Canadian area, up north. But most of the Algonquin speaking tribes were not Negro originally. But by virtue of, migration, invasion, war, miscegenation, the merging of indigenous people and people brought from Africa, the tribes now, they can look black. Yes. And they'll pass off as black. But that does not mean that originally they were a Negro tribe. Right? And even just knowing that doesn't mean don't claim it no more, because a lot of our tribes here are a byproduct of more than one bloodline, and it is what it is. Don't be so caught into the race thing, right? So I found something interesting about Powhatan, right? And we know he's definitely a Negro. You have a cigar stores that shows what he looks like phenotypically. It's like there's no debate that this guy is not no Plains Indian or native, right? He's what we would call a black man, the same black man we see in the hood, right? And so, it's just real interesting how people ignore the tobacco Indians. The tobacco Indians, that within itself proves, because mind you, we talking about in Virginia, right? Where the Powhatans live. And, the tobacco Indians that was documented by the Dutch, they called us black. Morians, they use the word Negro in their language. The tobacco Indians proves that black people were indigenous here, right? That we were definitely here. and the tobacco leaves was very ceremonial, very spiritual. We, in fact, the head crowns, the dress, the kilts, it was all made out of tobacco leaves, right? And so we ain't gonna get off on a tangent on that. I'm here to talk about that bloodline of Powhatan being tied into, guess who? The Cherokees. What? Wait, hold on, bruh. Hold on. Will you he should the guy? Yes, I thought. Are you telling me, Chief Six Fingers, you telling me that Powhatan has a Cherokee bloodline, or more properly, a Cherokee, right? An Allegheny bloodline? That's exactly what I'm saying. So where's the proof? Where's the proof of this, man? You got to show this, because everybody gonna tell you, no, that's not it. They're not related to the Cherokees. They're different, right? But meanwhile, there's already been documented on record of them calling Cherokee assistants in. Hold on, before I get into all that, we gonna talk about a daughter of a chief. Now I don't know how I found this, but I found it. Right, here's the source right here, right, and it was a article written on what was documented in the newspaper. Right, it's found in a book. Right, and so let me read this, y'all. So. And I'm gonna read beginning to end, and we're gonna build on this. So, a friend sends a cutting from a Washington paper containing an interview with Mrs. Narcissa Owens, daughter of the last hereditary chief of the Cherokee Nation, Ani-Tlvni. Right? Her husband was president of the Norfolk and Western Railroad. Her Indian name was Cherokees, and she was born in Indian Territory in 1831. In the interview, she is quoted as saying, watch this, y'all, "Our family was related to Powhatans," she said, reminiscently. "How do I know it? Well, among the Ravens, that is our family name, the occurrence of 6 fingers or toes is quite common." Wait, I gotta stop reading right there, right? So she basically is using her Cherokee blood. Basically, she's proven that they're Cherokee by having 6 fingers and 6 toes, something I've been was demonstrating and saying on this channel, and a lot of people laughed at me. Having 6 fingers and 6 toes default makes you Cherokee. Default. You don't even have to tie in to a actual clan or anything. Just having that root bloodline of 6 fingers and 6 toes, which is common and misnomer to African Americans, proves you're Cherokee. And here, a daughter of a chief is saying, how do I know? How do I know that she's related to the Powhatans? She said, right? She said, among the Ravens, that is our family name, the occurrence of 6 fingers and toes is quite common. Then here she goes on to further say this. Have you ever noticed the painting in the Capitol? The baptism of Pocahontas. In it, Powhatan's son is represented with 6 toes. Wow. Mushroom clouds. Now, when I heard this, I had to go to the painting, right? Right. So, and she goes on to further say, before I get into that painting, it was not an oversight of the artist, but historical truth. It was also frequent in the family of that chief. She's saying the 6 fingers and 6 toes was frequent in the family of the Powhatans, Chief Powhatan, Wahasenica. Then, too, don't you remember how, when the whites sought to despoil Powhatan, several thousand Cherokees came to his rescue? They were of the same blood. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Powhatans are a part of our bloodline, and it makes sense because dealing with my genealogy, I'm rooted to the Browns in Virginia too. Stop playing with me, man. You dig what I'm saying? And So there's a Cherokee blood connection with the Powhatans. Now let's zoom in on this painting, right? Right, and which was done by John Gatsby Chapman, right? Who was an American artist, and which is found in Rotunda, right? It hangs in the United States Capitol. And now when just zoom in, count it up, count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And so, bruh, like, this is mind blowing, and it still requires further deep investigation. But I just find it interesting that she is saying that a Cherokee woman, daughter of a chief, is saying they're related to the Powhatans because of 6 fingers and 6 toes. And mind you, she said, how do I know? Because the 6 fingers and 6 toes is found frequent in it. And here we have a painting showing Powhatan's son with 6 toes. All right, which I find interesting because I know what the 6 toes. See, and I'm gonna get into that in another video, and what the 6 fingers on the hand represents, which direct lineage, which it could come for either or, but it still represents a particular lineage, and what the 6 toes actually represents. I've came across a source that said the 6 toes is tied into the paternal roots to which can still be passed down through the matrilineal line, but the paternal roots to the Allegheny bloodline. But again, it's just, you know, we have this painting dealing with a baptism ceremony with Pocahontas, you know what I'm saying, who's given the name Rebecca, you know, converting her to Christianity. But here in this same picture, we see the son with 6 toes. So, and then we have a woman on record, a Cherokee woman, a hereditary bloodline Cherokee woman, right? Daughter of a chief, saying that we're related to the Powhatans because of the 6 toes and 6 fingers. That's just mind blowing. And so, you know, yeah. So so again, this ties into the whole claim on, you know, the Algonquians, right? And the Aboriginals, the Ani-Tlvni Kula, the first settlers, that would be the proper term, not even Aboriginals, the first settlers, Ani-Tlvni Kula. It's just showing you that a pre-colonial mixture had occurred, in which I've documented, like dealing with the Lenape and the Mingo, where, you know, we fought the other non-Negro tribes. They mixed in with us and we became one. So the question is that possible for the Powhatans? Are people claiming, when people claiming the Powhatans, are they claiming just the nation itself, or are they aware that the root bloodlines within it is rooted to a non-Negro tribe and a Negro tribe that they're not even claiming, hence the Alleghenies, right? See where I'm going with this, right? So you can say you're Powhatan and you're Algonquin, and that's cool, right? And we'll go deeper in, you know, on the Negroid, you know, the non-Negroid Algonquin peoples. But when you say Powhatan, are you of the Allegheny bloodline in the Powhatans, right? The Cherokee bloodline in the Powhatans? Or are you of the other bloodline of the Algonquins? So I'm going to let that hang in the air, man. Y'all know who it is, man. You know, 6 fingers, man. And, you know, do da da go, huh, e. Di dioli, huh? Dungalay nishkan.